Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I have an anatomy lesson to share with you today. We're using this book called Muscles and Bones by Charles Kovacs for our Waldorf-inspired anatomy main lesson block. Today we're working on the eye. I'm also using this book by the Welcome to the Museum series. It's the anatomy book, and we're going to be using this book for some illustration inspiration and some content. I'm working in my main lesson book that measures 9.5 inches by 12 inches. These have blank pages separated by an onion skin. I'm also using some color pencils for this main lesson. I have all of my color pencils together, and we're going to primarily use our Lyra color pencils today. I also have a mirror because we're going to make this a self-portrait. So we're going to be using the mirror in order to look at our eye. You can also take a picture of your eye and then zoom in on that as well. We decided to use a mirror even though we also took pictures. So this was a thrilling main lesson. Not only was the content very interesting, but also the illustration was phenomenal. It really takes a lot of observation in order to do a self-portrait. Now, we have done self-portraits twice for this main lesson block, and I honestly wish that we had done it for as many lessons as we could have done, and moving forward, I want to do them as often as we can. The amount of observation, precision, accuracy, and just awe and wonder it takes in order to do a self-portrait is amazing. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of dedication. To do a simple eye, this took me over 30 minutes, and it was a hasty illustration. I wish that I had been a little bit more careful with the proportions. When my daughter did her illustration, it was quite challenging for her. She did one illustration before I did this one, and I could tell that she was struggling a little bit. So I ended up doing this illustration so that she could copy just what it looks like to have an illustration in color pencil rather than just looking at your eye or looking at one of the other illustrations in our books. She ended up doing a second illustration, and it turned out much better than the first, but still there was a lot of room for improvement. We're probably not going to do another one, but I'm really tempted to do so. So for this lesson, we first read in our book by Charles Kovacs. I also used the Welcome to the Museum series book as well. But as we are doing this main lesson block at the second half of our school year in the spring, we took a really big break since doing the first half of our main lesson block. This main lesson block ended up taking several weeks, in fact, several months. So once we had worked about 2/3 of the way through the block, we took a break. We had sort of run out of enthusiasm and energy, even though I was really anxious to finish the block. It was really good that we took a break. We did our history main lesson block in the middle, and then we revisited this main lesson block. When we did so, we had to do the write-ups for the lessons that we did not complete previously. This included about 3 to 5 lessons that we needed to include in the main lesson book. At this time, we are still doing new lessons, but all of our write-ups are from our old lessons. What ended up happening was that as we were doing our write-ups, we ended up reviewing that lesson either by rereading the chapter or, in this case, getting some new books to read for these lessons before writing up our main lesson entry. We have one additional book for our ears main lesson, and you can see part of that illustration on the adjoining page. And I liked that series of books so much, I ended up looking for the other books in that series. It is a very old book series. The publisher is no longer in business, but I have linked the books in the description box below in case you're interested in looking into those books. They are single subject books based just on the eyes or just on the ears. And I really like books like that because you can dive deep into the subject area and quite broad as well. I've included the illustration with the captions and the narration all on one page. I would normally do this on a 2-page spread, but we are running out of room in our main lesson book, and I don't want to use a second main lesson book for this main lesson block since I think that we only have a few more lessons, and I don't want to start a new main lesson book with just a few pages in this main lesson. So we are consolidating some of our lessons, and we are trying to do them on one page whenever possible. So I've included just a little bit about how the eye works, as well as detailed captions for the eye illustration. This is what our entry looks like when it's complete. I love the way this one turned out so much. Even though we didn't quite have enough room for as much as I wanted to say, I think taking the time to do this detailed self-portrait only adds to a deep reverence and appreciation for how our eyes function. I hope that you enjoyed this look at our anatomy main lesson. Don't forget to check out the blog post that accompanies this video for more information, as well as links to the resources and more video tutorials for this series. You can find the link to that blog post in the description box below. And if you'd like to see how we're homeschooling on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram and now on TikTok at Pepper and Pine.